Morning. So Jake Mynatt is joining us in the essential space today. Jake comes to us from Knoxville, Tennessee, with over 10 years experience in the janitorial sanitation industry. He spends his days traveling the country to improve relations with the essential industries distribution network. So are you ready to join us in the essential space?
Absolutely.
All right. Hi, Jake. So
All
Jake, tell us where you are right now. And what are your plans this week? Are you staying home this week? Or are you off anywhere? What's your plans?
So I'm traveling. I will be traveling some in Tennessee early this week and then actually heading up into Ohio on the second half of the week.
Okay, fantastic. Are you visiting any schools?
Not any schools this week, just visiting some customers. And surprise, surprise, everybody wants to talk about disinfectants these days. So I'm sure the conversation will be heavily skewed towards disinfectants.
Well, as our conversation gets to go right that direction. Tell me a little bit about what's been going on with COVID. Have you been having face to faces with customers?
Yes, I have. We haven't had a whole lot of pushback, especially the last few weeks. It seems like people are more open to taking face to face meetings. I guess everybody's been cooped up so long; they're ready to get back to some face to face meetings. But of course, the social distancing is in place. Most of them are still requiring masks, especially if we're going to meet at a job site such as a school or different types of facilities. We are still taking all the precautions and wearing the face coverings and keeping the social distancing practices in place.
So you bring up a great topic because we're getting ready to send kids back to school or not, whatever happens. So tell us a little bit about a meeting that you would have with, let's say, someone in the school system when they're asking you questions about the disinfecting and getting things ready for school. What are your recommendations?
For most of our customers who are servicing school districts or even the school districts that have their own in-house janitorial staff, the thing a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they just forget about, is that disinfecting in schools, it's not a new concept at all. It's something that has been common practice for a long time. So it's really when we go in there to train their staff, it's really just kind of refreshing them on proper dilution rates, proper dwell times, which surfaces to disinfect, how often you should disinfect those surfaces, wearing the proper PPE. So it's stuff that they're accustomed to doing anyway. Obviously, with the COVID-19, we've just ramped that up a little bit and started disinfecting these high touch areas several times throughout the day versus doing a disinfection at the end of the day when all the students leave. Um, to be honest, it's making sure that people are seeing us disinfect these surfaces because sometimes while we try to do the best we can, perception does become reality at some point as well. So people are going to feel safer, and they are going to be safer the more that we disinfect throughout the day while students and teachers and faculty are in the buildings. So as they see us disinfecting those areas, they're going to feel more comfortable and a little more at ease, kind of like things are somewhat back to normal. So those are the things that we discuss when we go into these schools.
In a normal school day, what type of recommendations do you have for how many times they should disinfect throughout the day?
It really, and I hate this answer, but it really depends on the environment. So, classrooms, for instance, we'll disinfect several times a day. It makes it easier because most of the classes or most of the people that we've talked to, the kids aren't going to be changing classrooms.
Right.
So, they're going to be sitting at their desk all day long. So, anytime they have a break, we should be going in and disinfecting desks and doorknobs, pencil sharpener, the high touch areas,
Sure.
just during any break. So if the students are going to lunch, we should be disinfecting those areas while they're gone to lunch. That allows the proper dwell time. That allows for us to make sure we're not missing anything. And then vice versa. If you have a group going into lunch, there should be proper timing between those lunch periods so that those the lunch tables, the seats, all of those types of areas can be disinfected between lunch periods as well. So
Sure, sure.
really anytime you have a group moving from one setting to another before the next group comes in, we should be disinfecting those areas.
Exactly. So you mentioned something called dwell time. Can you expand on that a little bit? What does that mean? And tell us a little bit about what your practices are for dwell time and preparing the surface prior to adding the disinfectant.
Yeah, so dwell time just literally means the time that a surface should remain wet with the disinfectant so that it can properly kill all the bugs that are present on the area. And most of the disinfectants are going to carry a 10-minute dwell time. So you should saturate let's say we're disinfecting a desk. We should saturate the desk so that it can remain wet for 10 minutes. If you see that it is starting to dry, you just reapply the disinfectant so that it can remain wet. Along with that, we should be doing proper cleaning before we even start the disinfection process, especially if the surface is visibly soiled.
Okay.
If there is dirt or debris or whatever on that surface, we should be wiping that off with a cleaner, just a regular spray and wipe cleaner. And what that's going to do is it's going to effectively remove any dirt or soil that's on that surface. But what it also does is it also wipes away some of the germs
Sure.
that are on there. Obviously, there's going to be still some left behind, and that's where the disinfection comes into play. But if a surface is visibly dirty, the disinfectant can't get to every part of that surface. So it's kind of going to lay on top of the soil, if you will, and not actually touch the surface to properly disinfect. So that's why proper cleaning is important before we start the disinfection process.
Thank you, Jake, for joining us. That's all we have for this episode, but we invite you to come back soon and spend more time in the essential space. For more information, leave comments or questions on LinkedIn.